Alright, and loaded up in the Icon A5, you can see us rocking away in the wind there, a little bit more buffety, which is interesting considering we've transitioned from a military trainer to a light sport aircraft, but I'm sure the A5 will be more than able to handle it. So we'll go ahead, get started. Got another short 14-ish minute flight in the A5, but we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see if I remember how to do this. It is, I don't think I've flown the A5 since, I think since the sim came out, actually, if I remember correctly. So should be interesting. Let's go strobe and nav lights. Those are always first and foremost. There's a fuel selector up here. Yes, there is. Fuel selector on. Can I turn those off? No. Wing lock, parachute. Ooh, can I? Okay, so I guess the dimmer knob for the cabin lights is underneath the open and close hatch. I swear you used to be able to... No, it was Microsoft Flight. God, do you guys remember Microsoft Flight? Holy smokes. Anyway. God, that was something, huh? Games for Windows Live, am I right? Alright, let's go ahead and start up our Rotax motor. Straightforward startup. We'll wait for the oil temp to come up a little bit. It's already doing such, so shouldn't be anything too long to wait on. We'll set our trim for takeoff. There's really not a whole lot in the A5 to do as far as prep. That's one of the selling points of the old A5. And yeah, oil temp's good, oil pressure's good. Let's throw on our taxi lights and add a little bit of power, get moving here. Quick control sweep. Holy Rotax. Now, I've never flown in an A5. I've been around them, but I've never heard one operating or anything like that. I struggle to believe that this is the soundscape that the A5 has. I guess I could have just quickly YouTube searched a video on what an A5 sounds like, but I've heard plenty of aircraft with Rotax motors. But, I don't know. This doesn't sound perfectly accurate. It's not bad by any extent of the imagination, but I don't think this is what the A5 sounds like. Crossing the threshold, landing lights on. We'll switch those out for the taxi lights. And we've got plenty of runway here, so we're going to make a left-hand turn. I observed before there's a windsock out there somewhere. I don't see it now, of course. But we've got a very gentle breeze that's favoring our left-hand turn here. So we shall concede with the wind and follow suit. Alright, oil temp's in the green, oil pressure's in the green, water temp's a little bit high, but I don't think it's anything too bad. Let's add some power and go flying in the A5. As we're taking off here, I am realizing I never bothered to set up FS Realistic for this airplane, so you're probably going to hear some stuff that you wouldn't normally hear: crash screaming, busy cockpit sound, stuff like that, but that's okay. So yeah, a little bit of FS story time. So, geez, when was this? Was back in 2016, 2017. At some point, Icon had really kind of taken off. Pun intended, not really. But at AirVenture, that's one of the biggest things for a lot of aviation manufacturers with AirVenture is just getting out there to actually sell airplanes. A lot of vendors sell a lot of aircraft during AirVenture. And I mean, if you're not in the business of buying airplanes, you wouldn't necessarily know it. But that's what a lot of those displays are for. And they actually, a lot of the vendors actually have little secret, quiet, air-conditioned, free food, free water areas for potential buyers of aircraft. And I got to go on one of those at the Icon booth because my boss at the time was seriously considering getting a light sport aircraft, and the amphibious nature of the A5 really piqued his interest because he has a property with a waterfront and a boat pier that he was just going to pull the airplane up to, leave it tied there, and then fly it back. Funny enough, I think to Oshkosh or just outside of Oshkosh at another airport, where he spends most of his workday time. But so we approached one of the sales reps there. We're like, yeah, he's looking to buy a A5 potentially. And the guy, of course, he perked up, got all happy. He's like, oh yeah, right this way. Now, mind you, it is AirVenture. It is midsummer in Wisconsin. And for those of you guys who have not been to AirVenture or who have experienced a Wisconsin summer, it's hot, it's humid. Hang on. Okay, coming back to the story. So Wisconsin summer is hot and humid. Like, we've had Floridians come up for AirVenture, and they're like, yeah, it feels like home. And I'm like, oh, does it? Well, the other side is it's freezing during, anyway. So, super hot, super humid. So going into this nice air-conditioned place where they're bringing you drinks and stuff. And mind you, I am kitted out in my AirVenture gear, right? I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I've got one camera slung around my shoulder. I've got another one slung around my back. I've got a monopod attached to one of them. I've got a camera bag. I've got a radio, like all this gear. I'm very clearly not the demographic they're trying to to impress, but they had me come back there. I was the aviation expert for this guy, if you will. So we go back there, and I knew the base price of the A5 was right near a new Cessna 172. For those of you who aren't familiar with those prices, at the time it was right around $250,000 with like the G1000 suite and a bunch of other nice stuff in the airplane. So right around there. And Icon's biggest struggle ever since they've really started is just meeting that initial demand. They had a huge demand for the A5 when it came out, and they got a lot of sales, a lot of orders, and they just didn't have the manpower to make them in a timely manner. So what they came out with were different packages, if you will. And we've seen this in 2020, 2021, 22, and not so much this year into 23, but very big in 21. First edition packages, right? So I think Icon called theirs the Founders Edition or something along those lines. And essentially what it was you pay X amount of money and you get some extra stickers on the airplane, and we'll make it before we make other people's airplanes. And that was it. And that commanded a very steep price. In some cases approaching like Cirrus SR22 GTX pricing, which is, it's up there. Now it's really up there, but it was up there back then too, for a light sport aircraft. And that didn't include, Cirrus, or not Cirrus, Icon offers training for LSA aspiring pilots, but that's all extra cost as well. So I mean, there was a lot of extra cost on top of the aircraft, and after we were in there for about, I don't know, hour and a half maybe, he ended up just walking away. As far as I know, I don't talk to him anymore, but he has not purchased an aircraft as far as I know. At least when I last talked to him, he hadn't. But yeah, that's the my little brief experience with Icon sales. I'm sure this aircraft is great. I've got nothing bad to say about the aircraft. It's just them trying to meet the demand for stuff. And this is not a slant against Icon or anything. We've seen tons of different manufacturers struggle to meet their manufacturing goals. I mean, you think of like your Teslas where they literally couldn't build them fast enough, and that was partially due to a chip shortage, but we saw it in the automotive field as well. And this was just a manpower thing, getting the Rotax engines brought in, all of the other third-party stuff in quantity, and then actually building the aircraft. It just drove the price of the aircraft to, something to where your options for a significantly more capable aircraft are going to be better, which is unfortunate. I'd like to see more low-cost entry aircraft, like the A5 was originally designed to be slanted as. It wasn't ever designed to be like a budget aircraft, if you will. But you know, what it ended up costing is essentially, you know, like Mooney M20 money. And if you're going to tell someone you've got a 2-passenger aircraft with a relatively low cargo capacity, relatively low range, relatively low performance as far as speed, I mean, our caution range starts at 95 knots, and our VNE is 120. So, you know, you compare that to the M20, and the M20 actually sold very poorly also, but just sticking with the M20 because that's what I brought up. Comparing that to an M20 or an SR-22, yes, you lose the amphibious portion of that aircraft, but everything else stays intact. So if we shift over to Cirrus, you know, Cirrus had the caps. This has that too. Granted, it's a destruction of your aircraft, but it will save your life. But the Cirrus has astronomical performance compared to the A5. It's got 2x2 seating, so you can carry 2 more people. In the Cirrus, you can go way further. It's got a far more fuel efficient, well, I shouldn't say more fuel efficient. The Rotax motor is more fuel efficient, but for your distance, it's far more fuel efficient. And in addition to that, the barrier to entry wasn't really that easy. There were a handful of A5 crashes that, surprisingly enough, didn't actually involve new to the scene pilots. It was a lot of more experienced pilots. I think one of them, unfortunately, was a fatal crash of a former fighter pilot in the A5, and that was its big thing. You can see out here on my left-hand side window, there's that forward leading edge, and for those of you guys who have not seen my Kodiak review, go watch it. But if you haven't seen it, what any aircraft you see with that leading edge that protrudes farther over the outer edges, what that is a stall protection. So what'll end up happening is on the inside surface of the wing here, this area of the wing will stall first before this area does, because this area has a longer chord line, and you'll maintain aerodynamic control over your aileron, so you can still have roll authority prior to a full-on stall setting in. And that's a great thing. You know, the SR-22 has it as well. It's becoming more commonplace amongst a lot of other general aviation airplanes, and that's great. But a lot of that R&D and that sort of stuff kind of cut into costs a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to finish ranting here. We're, I don't know, 2/3, 3/4 of the way to our destination. We'll do a water landing, and then we'll do a field flyover, touchdown, and then close out the video. Alrighty, we are rolling up to our destination. So we'll reduce power a little bit and start a shallow descent. I'll tell you what though, I got the new light mod on the A5 and it is looking spectacular. Let's slow those strobe lights down a little bit. Look at that, all 4 emitters all at once. How about that? Let's get another one. Boom, look at that, that's amazing. And the same thing for the landing lights, they look great. There's your landing lights, beautiful cast, and the taxi lights as well. Put them together and beautimous. I'd love to see more new light mod of this quality, but I understand that for the Asobo aircraft it is just a little bit easier to do compared to some of the other AWARE aircraft that the mod exists for, but like I said, we're not here to complain. Alright, let's go idle power, because I don't even see our destination airport anymore on the horizon. It's all water. We're going for a little tiny island. There it is. So do we have any optimal... Let's shift our POI up a little bit. Or POV, rather. So there is a little beachhead we can do a landing, pull up, and turn around on. And then our airport, I think, is actually that grass strip right adjacent to it. So we'll get a little bit lower, see what we can see. I'm fairly certain that is going to be our airport as well. It was almost nice back in the early days of Flight Sim, like, geez, I want to say probably FS 2004 through FSX, I think, even. For grass strips, it was really nice because the grass strip had like a really nicely outlined area. So here, let me come out to the right here a little bit so you can imagine what I'm talking about. So if I look now, and I mean, this is more true to life, so I'm not really here to complain about it. And I don't often operate on grass strips for this exact reason. But I don't see any grass field down there, do you? I certainly don't. Whereas in FS 2004 or FS9 or FSX, it was just a green perfect patch, which was always fun. Because you could just instantly see the airport that you were headed towards. Looks like it is going to be on that beachhead. And over here a little bit. Oh. Little less there. There we go. Optimus Prime mode activated. So we'll do a turn out to the, what is that, the north? I don't have a compass on this thing. It's one of the other downsides of the A5. It lacks a few instruments that I would like to see, but I understand it being a light sport aircraft, you don't necessarily need them, so. Nice shallow rate of descent. Power still at idle. Get a little bit of back pressure. Don't have a vertical speed indicator, so I'm just watching our altimeter like a hawk. Looks like we've got a nice shallow rate of descent going on. Keep this turn. Boy, look at those handprints. My God. And come out level. All external lights are on. Let's go one notch of flaps. We're now in our flap speed range. Oh boy. Right, we'll cruise in 15 degrees of flaps. Starting to get some livelihood on our AOA indicator. We'll come out left and we'll get lined up into the wind. So right now we have almost a perfect tailwind, which we do not want, especially for a water landing. Airspeed dropping, that's a result of the wind pushing us now. And we'll do one more hard turn to the right and get lined up. Big drop in altitude. Here come the 30 degrees of flaps, or 15, yeah, 30 degrees, rather. Power still idle, now pushing into the wind. It should help slow us down real nice. Waves are looking relatively calm. I don't think it's anything the A5 won't be able to handle. Get that final wind correction turn in here. So it is seemingly just blowing us all over the place here. Let's get down 50 knots. Am I dumb? Or did the wind shift? I'm going off of the wind we had before. That's a little bit better. A little bit less rudder. Ever so gentle. There we go. We're riding the waves. Oh! Okay, now we're riding the waves. Good God. Oh my God. Gracious. Alright, flaps up to 15. No braking to worry about. We'll drop the water rudder. We'll go opposite on our controls. Get turned around here. Where is the wind coming from? Like, going off of the waves, it seems like this direction. But I can tell it's not that direction. Anyway, let's go water rudder up. There goes all of our directional control. Let's get some airflow over the rudder. See if we can't get the old A5 in the air before we catch one wave too hard. Coming back neutral on the controls. And just like that, we're away. Alrighty. Let's see if we can't visually ID our destination airport. It's a little tiny grass strip somewhere. Zulu Romeo Victor. I'm guessing it's this little strip right here. It's gotta be that. Have a windsock to reference. A whole bunch of nothing there. Let's take a cheetah look outside. Nothing. Zulu Romeo Victor. We just overflew it. Alright, we'll give it our best shot to get pointed into the wind. Give a much stronger sea breeze this time around. I really don't know what I'm aiming for. Do you guys hear that high-pitched squealing, or is that just tinnitus? Nope, took off my ear cup. It's just tinnitus. Tell you, protect your hearing, kids. Or is it the beachhead? Is the beachhead the landing zone? Maybe it's the beachhead. I can't tell. No, it's not the beachhead. It's got to be something over here. Alright, let's come out right. And we'll do a short base to final on that grass strip. Or at least what I think is a grass strip. Don't need a whole lot of room, this being a A5 with a stall speed of like, what, 45 knots? Yeah, the green arc stops at 45. Alright, we'll start our final turn. You live in New Zealand and you can tell me what the heck this stuff is that I'm like rolling over right now. Let me know, please. There we go. Short trip in the A5. We survived. Real interesting aircraft, that's for certain. It's a shame it didn't take off. Like business-wise. Anyway, that's... that is going to do it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, take it easy. We'll do a water takeoff for the outro. Okay, maybe we won't. You know, that's fine. Maybe we won't do a water outro. Yeah, we will. Take it easy, you guys.